It's kind of weird. It's a Christmas tree and a Christmas celebration. Bunch of Palestinian Hamas people chanting ceasefire. That's odd, this crossover we see all the time. Joining me now, somebody who knows these people, Andy No, senior editor of the Post Millennial. Okay, Andy, obviously that was taken just outside of Portland. Why are these people protesting at a Christmas tree? Could you please explain what exactly I'm seeing here, Andy?
So these left-wing protests they go in cycles, and BLM is a bit out of vogue now. We haven't had another George Floyd moment for a few years. There were some trans issues that happened last year and earlier this year, but the current trendy fad to get on top of if you're a leftist and if you're easily manipulated is on the Palestinian nationalist cause. So there have been young people, unfortunately a lot of children, being manipulated by left-wing activists, many of them who were involved in the 2020 BLM-Antifa riots, directing people to go out and confront politicians, mayors, anywhere and everywhere they can. And they're a bit so desperate for getting out on the streets that they're targeting events that could have little to no impact on anything that's happening in the Middle East conflict. So trying to shut down a Christmas tree lighting event in Portland or in a neighboring suburb in this particular case is what they've been doing. You see that this has been happening in left-wing cities across the U.S. Similar actions have been taken in New York, where people go to Times Square and try to disrupt traffic, attack police, vandalize Starbucks, go into various businesses and cause a scene. And all of it really at the end of the day has no effect in terms of policies regarding what's happening in Israel versus Hamas. However, with that said, one thing it does do is that it does radicalize another generation of people to be the foot soldiers for causes that are cyclical in a way.
Andy, kind of an odd question, but I am curious. Who are these people who show up to these things, whether it be the leaders or the new recruits? Are we talking about the dregs of society here? Is it a bunch of drugged out criminals they pulled out of a ditch somewhere? Are these white suburban kids who are just bored and have daddy's credit card for the weekend? Who are these people?
So the current protest movement that we're seeing in Western countries is a bit different from the BLM coalition that we saw previously, in that it does bring out the same groups of people and sometimes literally the same individuals. However, one additional faction that has been pulled in have been Muslim activists. And so now this introduces, in some cases, a religious dimension, and in my opinion, a religious fundamentalist angle to these protests. There were just demonstrations that happened this week in a Jewish neighborhood in Queens, New York, where Muslim protesters waving the Palestinian flag specifically were marching in front of Jewish religious centers and Jewish businesses, and then stopped to do street prayers in a way that, in my opinion, is meant to be very provocative. In Europe, and what I've seen myself on the streets of London, are people who will bring the black flag of the Islamic faith creed that is often associated with jihadist movements. People bringing, in America, there have been those who have brought Hamas flags to demonstrations. So this is the current mutation of this growing left-wing coalition that brings in those who have grievances. Many of those grievances are based on lies. However, it radicalizes them into taking direct action.
Okay, then, Andy, explain this for people who are confused. You've been doing some reporting on, for instance, this 28-year-old, a child of a Connecticut deputy attorney general who got busted doing anti-Semitic hate crimes. What is a tranny? That's who this guy was. I don't know whether it's a dude or a chick. You can't tell anymore. But what is a tranny doing linking up with the jihadis?
So Sarah Stofko is the 28-year-old biological female daughter
Oh,
of Connecticut's Deputy Associate Attorney General. Sarah Stofkoff is the legal name, what she was booked under. However, her mother refers to her as he, him, and Sarah on social media goes by the male alias Isaac. So, law enforcement in Newtown, Connecticut, which is the wealthiest county in Connecticut, um, arrested Sarah on suspicions that she committed an anti-Semitic felony hate crime. So she has a court date coming up later on this month. I wrote a report about this. I reached out to the family and her attorney for comment. They both declined to comment. Her mother, unsurprisingly, works very closely with the uh, Attorney General of Connecticut and has a history of left-wing liberal activism. If you look at her pictures, she's posing with people who are wearing the pink hats that were very popular after Trump's 2017 inauguration, and trans activist posts on the mother's account. The reason why, in my opinion, the trans identity of this alleged uh, of the suspect in this alleged anti-Semitic hate crime, why it's relevant is that part of this coalition has brought in a lot of sort of strange bedfellows. You don't think, on the face of it, you wouldn't think that trans activists, queer activists would march alongside or express support with radical fundamentalist Muslims, given what happens to LGBTQ plus people in Muslim societies quite often. However, here we are, we see them marching along. Often queers for Palestine or trans for Palestine
yeah.
will be at the forefront of these marches. And I think even though there are inconsistencies in their various ideologies, where it is coherent is that they share a common enemy, and the common enemy, and this is in what they say, is that they hate America. They view America and its friends and allies on the global stage, in this particular case Israel, as also enemies that should be destroyed.
Andy, you are based in London now, and while I've never been, I passed through the airport, even though that airport sucks. I hear great things about London, but the food, Andy, how has it been adjusting to the food over there? Beans on toast and stuff. It looks really bad, dude. It looks really bad.
Um, so, I mean, there's a history behind some of the culinary traditions here that outsiders might mock or think is funny. It comes from particularly how they had to do rationing during the Second World War, and so there's a generation who still have in their living memory what it was like to actually have to fight on their land. A war. Americans, fortunately, had not had to experience that. But so, I look on some of these peculiar culinary traditions in a way that I find actually very sweet. Um, However, I think UK is more so recognized for its Indian cuisine now than anything else, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's disgusting. And anyway, let's talk about this really quickly before I let you go. Elite communist scum historically have turned on the street communist scum as soon as they've served their purposes. The street communists never actually achieve any power. They're normally taken out and shot. Stalin, Mao, all of them, they ended up getting rid of all the street communists once they became a problem. Are America's street communists starting to become a problem for Democrats, or are they still a benefit? The BLM riots did not hurt Democrats. They helped them. Are we still in that news cycle?
So there's a particular interesting clash that's been developing with mainstream Democrats and those on the to the left of them, on the hard left or the far left, in that there is this fault line, particularly on the issue of Israel. Up until now, Americans, regardless of party, have been very united in their support for the modern state of Israel. And however, the radical left, and in some factions of the hard right as well, have taken on a view that is very anti-Israel, and it's created an issue, I say more so for Democrats and Republicans currently, because you have many outspoken Congress members who have expressed views that, in my view, are quite heinous, either whitewashing what Hamas did or denying the atrocities that have taken place. I think currently, though, the leftist militants still generally serve a function that is overall beneficial to Democrats, and that through the use of violence, they are very effective in shutting down grassroots organizing by conservatives. I don't see that changing anytime soon, but hopefully, decent Democrats and mainstream liberals will recognize that the militants that they've been empowering is not a segment of on their side that they can always have control of. Sometimes they and we can see, in fact, actually how Democrat politicians have been particularly targeted by these radical pro-Palestinian militant protesters.
Andy, I appreciate you, my man. As always, stay safe out there. All right. All these things we're seeing now has happened before. They've happened before. That's how we end up seeing things that are coming so often. We just read history. I want to talk a little bit of history about this next? Let's do that in just a moment. Before we do that,